fund these regional blocks. Finally, I want to indicate that there is need to align with the Big Four agenda, which is one of the key aspects of this conference. And all I'm saying about that is in the planning documents of the economic blocks, they need to ensure that they build on the CIDPs and the budgets of the counties, and these Big Four should be reflected in that. And then develop a mechanism for follow-up to track implementation and partner with national government in their planning, budgeting, implementation, M&E, and audit. So in conclusion, regional economic blocks provide an avenue for integrated economic growth. They are nascent organizations at the moment, but we hope they will grow into full maturity, and they provide access to larger markets, and they provide an avenue for collaboration, cooperation, and peaceful coexistence between diverse groups. Now, more of each of these will be done by the panelists, because these economic blocks actually are led by the ladies and gentlemen who are sitting in front of you. Thank you very much. Bwana Moderator, I think I took 4.5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lubembe. We give you a few more minutes so that you can put this into context. May I go to the discussants who are all sitting up front? Please, you have 2 minutes each to respond to the following question. What have your blocks achieved in the last 1 year, and the benefits of these blocks to the citizens that you serve? This question goes to the following. Governor Jackson Mandago, you will start. Governor Stephen Sang, representing Governor Joyce Laboso. His Grace, the Archbishop, Governor Francis Kimemia, Governor Captain Ali Roba, and Governor Joseph Olelenko, if you've come. So please tell us in 2 minutes, in that order, what your blocks have achieved in the last 1 year, and the benefits that have accrued to your citizens in these blocks.
Thank you very much. I'm the chair of the North Rift Economic Bloc that brings together 8 counties. NOREP was established in the year 2015, and our focus as NOREP then was to create an enabling environment for doing business, because we realized that the multiple taxation that is happening across counties was becoming an impediment to business. So it's a matter that we've taken up, and as a region, we are at the tail end of harmonizing those tariffs. The benefit to the citizens is that any goods that will be moving from one county to another, once you've paid the requisite levies in one county, then you'll not be able to pay in the rest of the counties in the block. Number 2, when we started NOREP, one of the things we also wanted to achieve was to improve our tourism sector, and tourism is one of the flagship projects that we have in NOREP. For the last 2 years, we've been able to market the block as one of the tourism circuits that we have, and we've seen an increase in the number of hotels in the region and the number of visitors that are visiting our region. This will increase business for the region and also open up the region for other investment and exploration of natural resources. Agriculture is one of the biggest drivers of the economy in the region. And in that sector, for the last 2 years, we've been able to improve on disease control, particularly on livestock. As a region, we've been able to conduct a joint vaccination program that has enabled our livestock sale markets to be open almost all the years round, we've not been able to close our markets. There's a lot of improvement in terms of livestock trade, and in terms of disease control, we've improved from what we found as counties. We realize that one county cannot succeed when it comes to disease control, because if you vaccinate in one county and the neighboring counties are not vaccinating, the diseases will be transmitted across the counties. So those are the things that we've been able to
Thank you very
achieve.
much, Your Excellency. Could we have His Excellency Stephen Sang respond to the same question?
Thank you very much. Representing the Lake Region Economic Bloc, as a regional economic bloc, we have identified 4 flagship projects. The first one was the establishment of a development bank. The process is ongoing, and I think in the course of this year and next year we should be able to conclude that. The second one is that the 14 counties account for the sugar belt in our region. We have had serious challenges within the sugar belt. The national government established a task force to try and look into issues relating to the sugar sector, and the county, the Lake Region Economic Bloc, has played a key role in facilitating the process. The task force has worked closely with the Regional Economic Bloc, and we hope that within the next short time, as we provide solutions to address the sugar sector, obviously our people within the entire block will be able to benefit. The third issue is maritime transport. We know the Lake Region Economic Bloc hosts Lake Victoria, and we are working with national government. We were key players in the Blue Economy Conference that happened in this country, and therefore we are working towards revitalizing, the maritime transport sector within our region. And second last is the aspect of reducing the tariffs and fee and taxes across the 14 counties. That is work in progress within our county, and we hope that as we conclude, deliberations on that, we should be able to have free, movement of goods and services within our region. And finally, we have also identified environmental conservation. We also host a number of the water towers within our region. We have agreed as an economic bloc that we want to work together to protect and preserve, the water towers within our region. Finally, is that as a county we agreed that we don't, as a regional economic bloc, we don't want to work as the county executive. We have taken our constitutive document to the county assemblies. We are working with county assemblies. So far, 6 of our county assemblies have approved, our bill. The others are at different stages, and therefore for us, we really want to ensure that we're able to work together, both the executive and the legislatures, to ensure that we anchor our regional economic bloc in law.
Thank you, Governor. Could we have His Grace, the Archbishop Timothy Dambuki?
Yeah.
Same question, 2 minutes.
Thank you. SECEP, that is Southeastern Economic Bloc, is formed by 3 counties, Kitui, Machakos, and Makueni. That started in 2016, but became operational in 2018. We have achieved in mobilization, where we brought all stakeholders together, beginning with the governors in the region, religious leaders, community leaders, professionals, youth, people with disability, women, and the civil society. And we are in the process of signing an agreement jointly by the county and the county assembly legal persons who have prepared that document, and participation and inclusivity considered as a major factor in formation of our economic bloc. We have a secretariat that is in operation now, and we have an office that is operational. Part of our achievement as a region, we started rehearsing even before it was formed, because about the economic bloc is focusing on processing of mangoes in Kitui, in Makueni, textile in Kitui, and we are in Machakos. we are trying to see a major resource, sand, harvesting, how we can improve and add value to it. Our focus, because we are in the process of growing, our focus is, one, to accept that we become an identity in the region, and therefore we engage in economic activities in a unique way. Secondly, our focus is on development of a clear roadmap where we will come up with that roadmap based on our strengths, our weaknesses, and the opportunities in the region, and also focusing on the threats. We want to, as a bloc, to identify.
May we be upstanding for His Excellency, please. Thank you. Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, welcome to this last session. We are discussing strategies for operationalizing the regional economic blocks. We are now having the discussions, and then we'll go to the panelists. The Archbishop was speaking, and I'm sure you've just finished.
Not yet.
Okay, 1 minute.
Okay. So I was saying that part of our focus is now to identify resources within the blocks and come up with a policy to guide on the wise use of these resources, protect them, and the environment. Because as you know, we have core in our block. Whereby even the city of Johannesburg imports water from Lesotho. And we are saying that is as a result of bad policies and neglect of environment. Infrastructure is our key to enable access economic products and a quick mobility and inter-county connectivity. We are looking forward to coming up with a policy to abolish tariffs within the blocks to create a sense of sharing, a sense of ownership, and a sense of belonging as a block. And we are looking forward in these endeavors. We are looking forward to engage entrepreneurs and investors on increased wealth creation, savings, green growth, and enhance well-being at the local level, and create and develop opportunities that harness regional economic synergies and economies of scale. And in this, we, as a bloc, will take to account the two arms of the local governments, that is, county governments, because these two must work within their mandate to ensure that they improve the livelihood of the people through transparency and accountability. And lastly, we, as a bloc, we are looking forward to practicing virtues such as transparency and accountability. And for more, you can get us from our website, www.secep.org.ke. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Grace. I was taught to respect the church and the church elders. That's why we've given you 3 additional minutes. Could we have Governor Francis Kimemia, the chair of the Central Kenya Economic Bloc? 2 minutes, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Your Excellency. Karibu. We have done a lot in the Central Kenya Bloc. Very quickly, we already finalized our policy and institutional framework. It's already in place. We expect to roll it out in the very immediate future. We began our functioning in mid 2018. Unlike other blocks that appear to be older than us, I don't know what happened in the first generation. counties, but the second generation governors have been very, very active in terms of putting together the framework I'm talking about. We are 10 of us, about 22% of the national population, and the GDP 26%, to almost 30% in the GDP. We have already done a resource mapping in the blocks, and we have identified people that are going to work with us, whether in the diaspora, development partners, the non-state actors, the private sector that we want to bring on board. And we have identified 10 areas that we want to start engaging on. We have already had private sector coming in. You have seen the state of development even around this place in Kirinyaga, the hotel development, the industrial development that is taking place. All this is through the investments by the private sector in the economy. We have identified, we have differentiated within the block counties or inter-counties that can do various things, say in potato processing, milk processing, horticulture and food processing, mineral processing, coffee, tea marketing, rice, things like meat marketing, promotion of tourism, Mera is also being, I think, is an issue also, marketing of cereals, and of course environmental conservation. These are the 10 pillars that we have come up with. And in all these, there are counties that fit into each of these specific areas. And what we are now coming up with is something called, similar to what we had the NESC, the National Economic and Social Council, at least to help us think through the whole area, engage in capacity building, technical capacity, and see that we are able to move as quickly as possible, so that we leverage on the economies of scale. I think, again, before I conclude, we have already appointed a CEO for the Secretariat. We have prepared an agreement for signing by members of the counties. This is already prepared. We have already terms of reference for the various organs of the bloc, including the Summit, the Economic and Social Council, the Council of Ministers. The Secretariat is in place. We already have a blueprint. If you come to the Central Kenya bloc and you want to invest in either of the 10 areas, we will tell you where you can accrue maximum advantage, whether competitively or comparatively, for the next 10 years. Our blueprint covers 10 years. We intend to hold public participation and also bring all the leaders from the region to share in the vision. We have prepared detailed project documents to facilitate mobilization of funds. We have also engaged development partners and investors to already start discussions with us, and we are already finalizing the preparation of the Country Economic and Social Council that we want to bring from within and from without thinkers who can be able to help us think through the matter as we go on. We have operationalized the Secretariat, and the Regional Investment Conference is soon going to take place. Just before I leave, I give the mic, Your Excellency. I think we also need to be strategic in the way we come up with these blocks. Even as we leverage the economics of scale, we need to review the Vision 2030. We need to look at the inter-county cooperation so that blocks don't become tribal enclaves, and then we segment the country further. We have to redefine the national interest. We have to look at national security. What are our national interests? What are our national security issues? What is our national competitiveness framework as a government, so that then we fit in that national competitive framework. Whether it is competitiveness or comparativeness, we need to be guided by the national interest of Kenya, because we are one nation. We should never forget this, and then fitting the 4 pillars, the CADPs in that equation, then seeing the blocks as markets. We can't market without the national government then redefining the market, so that we're able to know how to apply our resources. We need to be supported in resource mapping to reduce overlaps and duplications across the country. And I think this, if we do this, Your Excellency, as a country, then all of us will be competing as a nation and heading towards a very, very formidable front and formidable future for the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We have seen the development around Kirinyaga, so we hope this is being replicated throughout the central economic bloc. Your Excellency, the Deputy President, the question the panelists were answering was what their blocks have achieved in the last 1 year and the benefits to their citizens that have accrued to the citizens in their respective regional economic blocks. Finally, let me call Governor Captain Ali Roba, the chair of the Frontier Counties Development Council, to answer that question.
Thank you very much. As the name sounds, we are the only block that does not have regional block. We're the first economic block to be formed, and the name Frontier Counties Development Council, driven largely by the commonality of our challenges and opportunities. And having been the first block to be launched, we came together in 2013, and 2014 the formation happened. 2016 we had the institutionalization happening, but with the Secretariat running from 2014 to date. We've had quite a bit of success, and worthwhile to mention is the buy-in from the presidency, President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto, in support of that block, which led to partnership between Kenya government and the World Bank, which led to 120 billion shilling investment in a program dubbed NEDI initiative, which is North and Northeastern Development Initiative, touching on many sectors such as climate smart, agriculture, issues of infrastructure. For the first time in over 50 years of independence, we are realistically looking at this region getting connected to the national road network, with Isiolo-Mandera Road getting earmarked under this program to be done in terms of connectivity, and water projects among many others. And that is one of the key, achievement of that. The program is ongoing, entrenched between partnership of Kenya government and the World Bank, and through the release mechanism with ministries. We've also launched our socio-economic blueprint, established partnership with Pastoral Parliamentary Group comprising of 106 members of parliament, brought on board county assemblies in the 10 counties, as well as the other structures of leadership. We successfully hosted a meeting bringing together governors, members of parliament and county assemblies, and from 15 different counties, comprising of the 10 FCDC counties, as well as 5 additional that were part of the PPG partnership. We've also partnered with the British High Commission and British government under the DFID, the SWED program. And 3 of our counties were selected as beneficiaries of 8 billion shilling, the Sustainable Urban Development Program, that is Lamu, Isiolo, and Mandera. We have successful engagement and partnership with Ministry of Devolution, which the other regions have also, under the Regional Economic Bloc policy formulation that is at the final stage. Now we're in the process of, over the last 1 year, in the process of developing common tariffs and cesses across our bloc, as well as initiated the regional resource mapping for the whole region, among many programs that we have in the 2 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, those were the discussions. We'll have 2 questions from the floor. I've already got one request from Kevin Osido. One man, one gentleman, one lady. Kevin, do you have your microphone?
Thank you so much.
Just one question, please.
When the former Prime Minister made his statement, I think he's made this recommendation 2 times. The first time I heard about it was in Kakamega, where he made a proposal for regional governments. I don't know what the placement of this would be as we continue to talk about regional economic blocks. And then I'm just wondering the place of young people in all these regional economic blocks. There is engaging with County Governance Watch, the organization I serve with, and the counties. We don't feel the impact of the future, the role of young people in inspiring regional economic blocks. Where is the place of the youth? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin. That question will be answered by the panelists when I call them. The next one is a lady. Please just raise up your hand. Is there a lady who is going to ask a question? Yes, thank you. Just introduce yourself.
My name is Doris Kaberia. I work with Millennium Water Alliance. The question I want to ask these regional blocks, when it comes to water resources, water flows through counties, whether you're talking about underground water or surface water that we are not collecting it or adding to Indian Ocean. What can you do as regional blocks to influence governors to stop fighting with each other and to account for the water demand and ensure that people are sharing water, people are coexisting together? I would really want to hear from these regional blocks.
Thank you. That question is going to be answered by the Archbishop. The first question by Kevin will be answered by the PS Ministry of Devolution, Mr. Sunkuli. As you answer that question, Mr. Sunkuli, please, this is your question as a panelist. County regional blocks have been in existence for the last 5 years. What have they achieved in the last 1 year? And what do we seek to see them doing over the next 1 year? You have 4 minutes.
First of all, let me say that the county regional economic block started in 2015, and they have operated without a policy and guidelines to guide their operations. I am glad, as we speak today, we have already prepared a draft policy which is before Cabinet that will guide 3 things. One is to set procedures and processes for establishment of regional economic blocks. Second is to prepare standards and norms in which these regional economic blocks will operate. Third, to prepare a model of funding the joint projects that will be there, will be designed by the regional economic blocks. And I must say that these economic blocks so far have demonstrated huge potential in transforming counties to be growth centers. For example, the LREP is already working on some of the major projects, and they've already prepared an investment plan. We have already we attended an investment conference in Bomet, and that is where we actually saw the need of the policy. And I want to thank the support of the partners in doing all this. The second thing I would like to mention is that in relation actually to the second question, which I would probably answer from the policy perspective, is that the regional economic blocks will be the implementers of the ADR, that is the Alternative Dispute Resolution, as regards to resource sharing and resource conflict management. We heard yesterday from the participants that there is need for sharing of water resources. So within the economic blocks, we expect these blocks to agree on interbasin transfer of water schemes from the high potential areas of water availability to the deficient areas. So these economic blocks will provide a framework for sharing of resources, and the ministry has already put in mechanisms to support in terms of developing the structures and institutions with the support of development partners. Thank you very much.
Thank you, PS. That was precise. You've actually taken 2 minutes. To Senator Moses Kajua, you'll answer your question, which is this, plus 1 from me. What has been the engagement between the Senate and the blocks in the last 1 year, and how will you engage the regional economic blocks in the coming year? That is your question, which you are aware of. Now mine, you are the chair of the Senate committee, I think on public accounts committee in the Senate. This is my question. How will the regional economic blocks engage in planning, budgeting, and reporting functions in their work in light of the county's responsibilities in doing the same?
Thank you. The position of the Senate is that of support for regional economic blocks, because as the first presenter mentioned, they are anchored in the Constitution, the County Governments Act, and also in the Intergovernmental Relations Act. What is missing is legislation that would be more descriptive than those 3 pieces of law. And that is why the devolution CS must fast track the draft policy so that that policy can drive legislation. As we speak, Senator Ross Nyamunga has presented a legislative proposal on a draft bill for regional economic blocks. But this is one area where the chair of Council of Governors needs to engage so that we have a conversation and probably convert this from a private member's bill maybe to a government-sponsored bill, so that we do it once and we do it for the benefit of all the counties and all the blocks that are already in place. Number two, from an accountability perspective, some of the blocks have been incorporated as limited liability companies. So they're outside the purview of the State Corporations Act. That means that oversight and accountability becomes rather complicated. Governor Sang has mentioned that the Lake Region Economic Bloc has identified as one of the key priorities the establishment of a bank. We, the leaders from that region, perhaps look at it differently. But this could be because public participation and a process of defining priorities was not done in a structured manner. A bank is a store of wealth. When you decide to establish a bank, it means your people are wealthy. There are those who might think that the first priority should be to create wealth and then create a reservoir for that wealth. So what I'm trying to say is that through policy, through legislation, we need to have a clear framework for public participation, collation of views, and oversight mechanisms. Number three, I would like us also to focus on regional authorities. Regional bodies like Lake Basin Development Authority and the 6 or so others, and CDF were some of the earliest means of bringing development to the grassroots. But with devolution, with devolved governments, what is our position on the regional authorities? Should they be disbanded and the regional blocks take over? Or could they coexist? My view is that these are like two babies that are suckling from different teats. The regional authorities are suckling from the teats of the national government, and the economic blocks are suckling from the teats of counties. They can live together as long as they are not fighting for the same teat. However, the acts of parliament that established the regional authorities must also be revisited. What is a place of county governments in Lake Basin, Kerio Valley, or Coast Development Authority? So that needs to be fast-tracked so that we eliminate conflict between those two levels. The issue of resource competition. We were in Gishu, and Governor Madago knows we had a conversation about a water project that is doing in an area that Elgeyo Marakwet claims to be in Elgeyo Marakwet. And it does not make sense because water flows through gravity. It cannot be that Uasin Gishu can only undertake water projects within Uasin Gishu if gravity does not favor them. And so these blocks will help us also to do away with those resource competition. It will also help me if I met a girl in Busia and I want to marry her and I want to take cows from Homa Bay to Busia. Right now I need 5 permits. I need a permit from Homa Bay, from Kisumu, from Siaya, from Vihiga, from Kakamega before I marry that girl. And that is why we end up marrying within the same village, because of some of these constraints. Finally, the objects of devolution, and there's a gentleman who raised a question about regionalism. In my view, there were 2 key objectives of devolution. One was political, the other was economic. In terms of political sovereignty, the power of people to make decisions at the local level, devolution can only succeed if it goes lower, all the way to the villages. And there are counties that have implemented village councils, and those are fora where people sit and decide the kind of priorities they want to have. But the emergence of regional economic blocks could be an indicator that for economic sovereignty, we might need to go beyond that atomic level of villages, atomic level of wards and atomic level of counties, and think of regions as the basis for economic sovereignty for our regions. And this is a conversation that needs to be carried out in a dispassionate manner so that we balance between the objectives of political sovereignty and economic sovereignty. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Your analogy of marrying a lady from Busia and needing 5 licenses can be sorted by you taking a boat across the lake, although we are aware of the threats of the water hyacinth. Thank you. Honorable Joshua Kipto, the Speaker of Nandi County Assembly. You will answer this question, +1 from me. What are the 3 issues that the county assemblies have done to ensure that the distinctiveness of county governments is not lost through operationalization of the regional economic blocks? That is your question, which you are aware of. Now, for my question, should we come up with a separate legal framework for regional economic blocks, or should we just amend Section 23 of the Intergovernmental Relations Act?
Thank you so much. The first question you've raised is about the county assemblies, and I think I want to pick up from two speaking points. Number one, the governors have explained what the regional blocks have sought to achieve, and this conversation begins in 2013, not 2017. It's only that this is the time we are knowing about that conversation. And if you look at the track, every single thing we talk about is the economy, about leveraging on our economies. Importantly, balancing production versus the market.